Okay. All right, everybody. Here we is. L'chaim. Okay, we're going to welcome to the Garden of the Spirit to class studying Apples from the Orchard. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rebbe Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay. Okay, today we're going to begin on page 642. The parsha is Emor, and we're up to chapter 3. This quote, V'kachta Solas, the verse that's going to be explained, is about the showbread. The Hebrew lechem hapanim, which means the loaf with sides. Mm-hmm. And it was this thick, this tall, and then either, different opinions, either the sides went up like this, so it was a loaf like this, and the sides went up this way, mm-hmm. or the sides were folded over, like a staple, either when it's still in the stapler, yeah. Or after, or when it's in the paper. Same shape, just a little bigger. And the loaf itself is thicker.
How big was it again? How big?
I think it was 6 handbreadths wide. And I don't remember, and I think 3 tall on each side, or folded over. Okay. And this, of course, and it's also not chametz. There's no chametz in it, even though it's a...
Just a loaf, but no chametz?
No chametz.
Loaf of what?
It's a loaf.
Flour.
Like matzah, technically.
Matzah, yeah.
I mean, it's not matzah, the matzah that we know.
It's not leaven. Not
Like
leaven.
malawa?
Like what?
I love malawa.
Like malawa?
It
You know,
got-
He doesn't live on my block.
No, you don't know what
It's
malawa
like
is?
layers.
I don't know what malawa is.
Explain malawa to him.
Yeah,
It's like phyllo, but thick.
always.
It looks like matzah, but it's thicker.
I imagine that it's like a pita bread.
Like a pita.
However,
when you
it's
cook it.
it's 3 inches thick.
Right, okay, yeah.
No, hold on. You got to blow up the building.
See, that's why I use these. Whoop.
Just trying to get him some.
Okay. It's kosher.
It's hot.
Kosher.
Oh.
You don't want either one?
Oh, it's decaffeinated.
This is
I
decaf.
didn't want to have it.
No, it's good stuff.
I didn't know it was decaf.
No, I ordered it.
And you have a choice of sugar or tuvia.
Two?
Yeah.
He fits in the cup?
Huh?
He fits in the cup?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot healthier. It's the most healthy of the sweeteners.
Good.
I thought the only tubia I know was Pollock.
You see, you have sugar or tuvia there. Okay, so it's like something like pita,
Like, yeah.
We were talking about it a lot on Pesach. I guess the
Sephardim?
Sephardim. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. It's like a lafa. A lafa.
Okay.
They have a great Pesach. Rice,
So what?
chickpeas, peanuts. Amazing.
Amazing. They're on sale this week at Big Y.
What?
Peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't say kosher or Passover.
Is that the advertisement for the show?
Yeah.
Or for the class?
That was good.
Yeah, I bought a few. I sound like you. Yeah, I bought 4 jars yesterday instead of 2.
Not good for you.
Apparently, who said? They are good.
Some dude that
very
wants
good.
to sell you something else.
Apparently, one of the reasons they got our matzah is because it has to have a long shelf life. Really,
The showbread or the
our matzah
Uh-huh.
that we have, that's tough like a cracker and not soft like a lafa, like a Sephardic matzah, is because they need something that can have a long shelf life.
Yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah, but that's all.
Oh,
Big
otherwise, it would be soft, you're saying.
Otherwise, I think they'd have it soft. I don't know why it came up a number of times this year on Pesach, this discussion. Okay, in any case, so this was not chametz,
okay.
okay? And that's how they made it. And there were 12, and it went on the
So
shulchan.
there's no recipe anywhere?
What?
Any recipe for
It tells you exactly, you read.
flour and oil? or-
Read the parsha, it talks about the oil and the flour and
I think-
how you make it.
keep
and
talking for a minute.
It talks about, it looks like a staple.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this, like.
With the added
Like
parts
a-
on the end.
With the added part at the end, almost.
Square angle
rectangular
croissant.
with
I think there's a word, there's a Greek, there's a Greek letter
Yes,
that's in
a
the
Greek
shape.
letter. on
Beta,
it.
what is it? Theta? Beta?
Phi?
No, it's the, he's absolutely right.
Omicron?
That's what Rashi says. Rashi brings it up.
Yeah, it's a
Omega.
Greek, no,
Hell
it's not.
Alpha, beta, gamma,
There's a
delta,
Greek
epsilon,
letter.
zeta, eta, theta,
There's
phi.
a Greek
Omicron.
letter on it. There's a,
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, phi, omicron, phi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. That's the whole alphabet.
None of them ring a bell.
That's the whole alphabet. That's it.
None of them.
There's no other letters.
Rabbi, what Greek letter? Oh, you
there's a
remember?
Greek letter.
Go ahead, what?
Greek letter that's in the shape of the showbread.
on
Rashi
the
brings it up.
showbread.
Probably an omega.
One of these, well, no,
Upside
The
no,
down.
showbread?
on the
Showbread.
showbread.
because
Rashi.
it's,
No, that they would put on top of the showbread.
yeah,
On
because it's
top,
like
yeah,
this.
Yeah, it's a very complicated issue.
That's a
the shape is like
confusing
this.
It's a
issue.
very complicated issue.
Yeah, because,
Why? Because
And you don't know for sure? Is that-
because what it's written down as is with a, it could be read as key, or it could be read as initials for kaf Yavanis, the Greek letter for kaf, and some read it like this, some read it like that. There's some who say that it's an X, and some say
psi.
it's like a V or like an upside down V, and or like
Delta?
or like another
Delta's
one.
closed
I
on
don't remember. There's like 3 or 4 Greek letters that they say that it could be, and Rashi himself says 2 different things in different places.
If you heard the letter, would
I
you
think the
know it?
most
One-
popular.
No, it's not.
Rashi says 2 different things in 2 different places.
Yeah, Rashi gives 2 different examples in different places. One it's like an X,
Wow.
and one is like an inverted V.
The X
The
is the
one
Greek
that I
letter
saw was
psi.
this. It's
Xi.
it goes like this.
A letter?
No, the showbread.
Showbread.
If you look at the showbread from the side, it looks like a staple
Yes.
with the ends bent in.
Yes.
Yeah, like that.
Yes, but that's not what the
no,
letter, the Greek letter is.
something else. There's
The
a-
Greek letter is what they would do on top. They would put
Oh,
put something on top.
we're talking about
either
you're
the
talking about this,
oil or
I'm
the
talking about that.
frankincense.
Yeah.
They would do something on top of it in the Greek
It's like
letter.
this. Yes, it was the shape of
Right.
So
shape
one-
of a chet or something like that.
Well,
So one
Whatever.
place Rashi says like an inverted V, one place says like an X.
so if you read,
And then I think there are other
There's
opinions
no,
also.
everyone agrees on the shape of the showbread, right?
No.
No.
Some say it's like a staple
right,
before when it's in the stapler,
Yeah.
and some say it's like a staple when it's in the paper.
So it's really about these ends. It's either like this.
Either like this or like this.
Like that. Okay.
You expect people to agree? What are you? Come on.
Okay. Anyways,
I hear you.
These are bam. I don't agree on it.
Sometimes.
if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember where it says. If I'm not mistaken, the recipe was a family secret. One family of the Kohen had this recipe.
They were criticized for not sharing it, right?
Yeah.
So the same with the incense
I
family.
think so.
Torah's family.
And
also.
right, a different family.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mishnah.
yeah. But there are instructions about the frankincense and the oil and the hin and blah, 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 it's all in more.
All right. So let's begin. Yoel, would you like to begin? 642 at the bottom.
Sure. You shall take fine flour and bake it into 12 loaves. That's from Leviticus 24:5. This is the commandment to prepare showbread for the tabernacle temple. There were 12 loaves of this special bread, which were placed on a special table in the sanctuary before Shabbat and replaced with newly baked loaves a week later. We will now explain why there were 12 loaves of showbread and why they were miraculously warm even when they were replaced.
So they were there for a whole week,
And they were still warm.
and they were still warm and fresh, like they're just out of the oven.
The priest then took them and they were totally edible, fresh, as if there was
Yeah.
the same day.
Yeah, and
That's so,
obviously they didn't have the preservatives that we use today,
yeah.
Any preserves, yeah.
and well, they probably did have
Potassium
something.
sorbate.
Huh?
Potassium sorbate.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think I heard elsewhere that normally people would bake their bread every morning
Yes.
because it wouldn't
It wouldn't last.
last till the second day even.
This was a miracle that it lasted the whole week.
Yeah.
And it was as if fresh.
It was fresh,
And the
yeah.
priest took it just as if it came out.
Yeah.
That day.
This is not like, you go to the supermarket
Yeah, no.
and you're getting something, you know what? It was a week and it was still okay. Or a month or two, it was still okay. This is not in those days, I think by the second day already it was gone. Okay. So why they were miraculously warm and why there were 12 loaves.
Our sages state that the showbread remained warm the whole week they were in the temple. This fact is derived from the verse to replace it with warm bread on the day it was taken away, which refers to the showbread. Although this verse does not directly imply that the showbread stayed warm for the whole week, the homiletic interpretation is based on the fact that the phrase warm bread may be taken to refer to the bread of the previous week, warm bread on the day it was taken away. To explain, it has been explained that a number of different couplings between the various partsufim above and the spiritual realms are termed eating. The purpose of the transformation or metamorphosis of the sphirot into partsufim was that they be able to interact and cross-fertilize each other. These unions produce fruit or offspring in the form of divine energy or a light or consciousness that shines into the lower partsufim or the lower worlds. The reason some of these couplings are termed eating will be explained below.
Interesting.
So eating is cross-fertilization, is
hold
interaction
on.
between them.
Yeah. Interaction
It's
with different spheres.
interaction that produce
Fruit.
offspring or fruit.
Okay.
Back to the birth issues.
Yes.
And the
Conception.
conception. And, the male and the female, but we'll get.
Yeah.
He's an adult now. He can-
Okay.
Yeah,
I have 2 kids.
He's 2 kids,
he remembers how to do it.
He understands how to do it.
We remember.
It's interesting because eating produces fruit.
Big memory.
When animals eat in the field and they produce,
Disperse or-
disperse
Products.
afterwards, it fertilizes the ground below them,
Yeah.
Then they can eat more.
and then they can eat more.
And everybody can.
I'm saying this is called eating, and it's an interaction that produces fruit or offspring. And it's interesting, achila. Why was it? Why
We'll
it
see.
became achila. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Yoel.
Oh, I keep going. Okay.
Keep going.
This is the mystical meaning of the verse, "Eat, O beloved companions." This verse refers to the coupling of Abba and Ima, which is occasioned by the flow of energy from the holy mazel of the bread of Arich Anpin.
Of the
Beer.
Of the beard of Arich Anpin.
We do it all the time, don't worry.
In order for Abba and Ima to couple, they must receive a dose of higher consciousness from the partsuf above them, that of Arich Anpin.
okay, which is a section of Keter.
I just want to digest.
No pun intended.
We did say that Abba and Ima
Interact.
are like two friends that are inseparable. So their coupling is constant. Just
They're always
sometimes,
coupling.
sometimes it's developed and mature, and sometimes it's not developed.
In Atzilus, It's
In what?
In Scylla, it's together. They're together.
Yeah,
They're together in the higher room.
constant. And that doesn't depend on anything that we do.
They're always there together.
So the channel through which they receive is through the beard of Arich Anpin.
Yep.
From above them, okay. In order for Abba and Ima to couple, they must receive a dose of higher consciousness from the partzuf above them, that of Arich Anpin. In a parallel passage in the Rizal's writings, the phrase, the mazel of the beard of the Atika Kadisha, is used instead of the holy mazel of the beard of Arich Anpin. Although the term Atik Yomin refers specifically to the higher of the two partsufim of Keter, the term Atika Kedisha, the holy ancient one, is a general term of Keter.
Whoa.
Keter.
Okay, let's go through that. Keser has two facets. The higher facet is called Atik Yomin, ancient days. And the lower facet is called Arich Anpin, the long face. Over here it said that Abba and Ima get from Arich Anpin, the lower facet, or what we call also the exterior of Keser. And so he says that in a parallel passage, it says the mazel of the beard of Atika Kadisha. So when we say Atik or Atik Yomin, it refers to the higher facet of Keser, but Atika Kadisha, he said, can refer to Keser in general. So not to confuse Atika Kadisha with Atik Yomin.
Why is Arich Yamin called, Arich
Anpin.
Anpin called that? Why is it called long face?
And I'm not sure where it's taken from. Atik Yomin, we looked up.
Yeah.
That's mentioned in the book of Daniel. I think in one of the dreams. But Arich Anpin, I'm not sure where that comes from. Okay.
Doesn't Arich Anpin also mean patience? Arich Anpin or slow to anger? Isn't it a term of mercy also? Or maybe I'm confusing another term.
Maybe. There's Erech Apayim,
That's what I'm thinking.
which
of.
is
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Wait till you get to the
Patience
next
or-
paragraph.
patient.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The beard is seen in Kabbalah as the seat of mercy or empathy, rachamim. Kabbalistic works identify 13 components of the beard, either tufts or parts of the face that are devoid of hair, and thus outline the beard, corresponding to God's 13 attributes of mercy. Indeed, Arich Anpin literally means patience or the patient one. Oh, that's what I was just saying, yeah. A concept closely allied to that of mercy. The 13 components of the beard of Arich Anpin are called mazalot, which means literally a source of flow or influence.
The word mazel we had several years ago. The word mazel means to drip.
It's really a common
That's Hashem,
misconception.
Hashem, Kel Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim. But that's Apayim is the same thing.
Maybe this is Aramaic. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Probably. You're probably right in that. Okay.
You probably better.
Yeah, Jim 644.
You got the-
644 at the top.
All right. Stick. Okay. As is known, the beard of Erech Anpin is composed of 3 iterations of the divine name Havaya, which together give 12 letters corresponding to the 12 other parts of the beard besides the 13th mazel. The numerical value of these 3 names, 3 times 26, is the same as the word in Aramaic for mazel, which is mazlah, 78.
Okay, mazel is mem zayin lamed. And in Aramaic, it has an aleph at the end. Like many words. are like that. It's very close in Aramaic, just with an aleph at the end. So here too, otherwise it's 77, and now it's 78. Wow, hold on. We're going to find out the 3 iterations of the divine name Havaya.
3 times 26 is 78.
3 times 26.
3 times 26 is
It's
78.
Yes.
Yes, but before we get there, we'll find out about the 3 iterations of Havaya and 12 letters. Okay.
Oh, wow.
The 13 mazalot are divided into 2 groups. 12 correspond to the 4-letter divine name Havaya, repeated 3 times, giving 3 letters,
12 letters. Oh, sorry.
giving 12 letters.
Yeah.
The 13 mazel stands by itself and summarizes or encapsulates the other 12. This is alluded to by the fact that the numerical value of 3 times the divine name Havaya, 3 times 26, equals the numerical value of the Aramaic. The Zohar is written in Aramaic for mazel, mazla. It is this 13th mazel that must shine upon Abba and Ima in order for them to couple.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
3 iterations means 3 different combinations.
Right. All right. As explained in Kabbalah and Hasidut, that it is the 13th mazel that makes the entire set of mazalot into attributes of mercy. This is because numerically, 12 is a closed, rigid, perfect system reflected in the physical world by the 12 lunar months and the 12 signs of zodiac. In the Jewish people by the 12 tribes, in the spiritual realm by the 12 permutations of the letters of the divine name Havaya, and so on. In each of these sets,
So that everyone knows what that is, the 12 permutations? If you scramble
And with the letters.
the letters, yeah, you can do it 12 different ways.
12 different ways.
Okay.
In each of these sets, however, there is sometimes hidden a 13th element that adds the flexibility and adaptability that makes the set alive, pliable, and viable. This is perhaps most graphically seen with regard to the 12 lunar months. In the Jewish calendar, a 13th month is added 7 of every 19 years to align the lunar cycle with the solar cycle. Here, the 13th lunar month makes the 12 original ones into an empathetic system that can coexist with its solar mate. Similarly, the 13th tribe, Levi, interesting, officiates at the temple, reconciling the 12 tribes of the Jewish people with their mate Hashem.
That's right, so we've got a 13th tribe. We have 12 tribes, but then there's
Levi.
a
Why is
13th.
Levi's 13th tribe?
Because they were removed from the set.
Because they didn't
And
get
Yosef,
'Cause
was,
they-
and Yosef slid in?
Yosef's 2.
He had
Ephraim
two.
Menashe.
He had 2.
Yosef's 2.
Right, and then the other,
Shimon,
but you had 12, take away 1, then add 2.
Yehuda,
Yeah, and you had 2.
And because
So
Levi's
Levi
the
does not
President.
earn a share in the land of Israel.
Right.
Right. He's everywhere. Because the Levium didn't have their own land.
Just in
They
the
were
cities.
in the ci- in the city.
cities they had land.
No,
But
no,
they-
I
but the
know
land-
that, I understand that, I'm just understanding. Oh, because they're removed, that's why
They
they call it
removed
13.
them.
Right, they're 13, because,
Yeah.
Only because they're
Manasseh
removed.
and
They're
Eph-
removed,
and-
right.
and
It has nothing to do
Ephraim.
with their, it has nothing to do with the ages.
no, nothing at all.
So we have 12 tribes and then a 13th. We have
Right.
12 months and a 13th.
Right.
So the passage therefore means, or should I continue or?
Yeah.
Where are you?
There's one more
Yes.
piece.
Yeah, good.
The passage therefore means that in order for Abba and Ima to couple, they must receive a flow of mercy or compassion slash consciousness or dash consciousness. This is, of course, a lesson pertinent to human marital relationships as well, and indeed all types of interpersonal communications. Underlining consciousness of attitude toward the other partner must be of compassion, empathy, mercy, and, as I said last time, for the sake of the other, what we were talking about.
What?
Think about it, yeah.
But for the sake of the other, we're talking about
Yeah.
compassion in the
And chesed,
Omer,
I think.
Rabbi Jacobson talks about the counting of the Omer. Shimon Jacobson talks about compassion as unconditional love for the other in Tiferet. He speaks of when we were counting the Omer in Tiferet.
Yeah.
And I was just speaking to you about it the other day, and how it takes the chesed and gevura, which have sometimes a personal stake in them, and brings an unconditionality to it, for the sake of otherness, not the self.
Yeah, so which is the 13th that stands apart? He didn't really say that.
No,
He didn't say that that's Erech HaPayim.
he didn't say that, but I was
He
just,
said,
Possibly.
he said the 13th was Mazel.
it's mazel here.
He said he said the 12 iterations of Hashem's name. and
But if we look at
13th
the 13 attributes of mercy, exactly which one would, you know what we said last time?
Yeah,
But it was a while already.
yeah.
What was, we said Mazel was
Was it the first? There was Hashem.
the seventh one, Notzer Chesed.
Chesed.
I think.
Notzer Chesed, yeah.
That's what we said elsewhere. You guys remember that?
We did the 13 attributes, yeah.
I thought it was here, but I don't see it now.
I don't remember, yeah.
I think it was, I thought there was a chart too. We had, Hashem, Kel, Rachum, V'chanun, Erech HaPayim, yeah, Kel, Rachum, V'chanun, Payim, V'chesed, V'emes.
Notzer Chesed Alafim.
I think it was Notzer Chesed.
Notzer Chesed.
We said then was the one that stands apart. That corresponded to Mazel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow,
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Why?
Because the last one is the one who's.
It wasn't the last. It wasn't the
Oh,
last.
it's not the last?
No, but he explained why.
No, I'm saying what. No, I'm saying the last of the in this setup. That sounds like that's taking place. The last one is the one that's actually given.
It's the seventh.
No, I'm
Oh.
saying the 13th
In here,
is
in here
in
he's
there is the one that's giving to Abba and Ima.
Yeah, yeah.
And Chesed is I don't know. Is giving.
And here it is.
That was a long time ago, huh?
3 years.
yeah,
Or
we
the
had a-
6 is Notzer
Six,
Chesed.
Yeah, we had a chart. He's got the chart.
Kel, Rachum, V'chanun, Erech, Apayim. Oh. It was on 133.
There's a chart. Here it is. Here we go. Here's the chart.
Got some mighty sideburns.
Yep. Abundant in kindness, hair of the jawbone.
Okay, it would be the 8th, storing kindness.
Kibazalot couple, beneficence, I see we're talking here.
Two are referred to as Mazel.
Two Mazalot couple, and bestow.
Storing kindness and acquits, the last one. 8 and 13.
So storing kindness and acquits. So we have the upper beard and the lower beard.
We did have that then?
We're talking
says
about
so
the
right there.
beard, you
That was a few
brought
weeks
in that
ago.
machine. You remember you brought in a beard machine. You brought in something with the lights, I don't remember, lights?
I brought in?
You brought in something with lights that there were.
Yeah.
You remember that?
That wasn't
Beard,
this. That
No,
wasn't
no.
3 years ago, was it?
It feels
Yeah,
less
I
than
remember.
that.
There was a
I
whole
didn't-
bunch of stuff about the beard. We studied.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have
You remember
The-
that?
Yeah, the muzzle drip, and you
the-
brought the light, the fiber,
It's like fibers, a
Fibers,
little
whatever,
thing
yeah,
that
you
they
brought
Fiber
lights.
kids buy.
Yeah, you brought this.
And
we
the
were
ends
talking
light
about
up.
the beard.
That was 3 years ago that I brought that in?
I don't, no. I
Well,
thought
put it this way.
Could be.
It was before me.
Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe 2 years ago, but we had the. I
But
remember
this
you
we
brought-
had. This is where we
yeah,
learned
had
about
done
the.
double.
me.
Okay,
So it was two. So the upper layer of the beard and the lower layer of the beard.
all right.
All right?
Yes, here's page 133,
Two
we talked about
Mazelot
it.
couple.
I didn't realize that the small hairs near the throat were part of the 13. Thought you were.
Don't ask me to explain it.
This is a whole storing kindness in a quiz. 13 fruit tufts of the Erech Ampens and 13 after blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
Divine mercy.
and we said 131, the light issues from the beard via the hairs is called mazel.
And that's
Because it
what-
flows by, that's when I brought it
You
in?
brought in that
Could be.
thing with the lights. He knows more science.
Could be.
Remember that, but remember
Fibers
anything
and
else?
they had lights and he brought all this. Yeah.
Fiber optic cables.
No, it was a little
That was a
thing that my
thing.
kids
But-
have.
but he
Oh,
brought
a
it
little
in. It was-
toy.
it was
Design, a little toy.
Symbolic of the
Toy.
light flowing from the beard.
Playing with the toys again.
It
Yes.
was very instructive.
And look what sticks in their minds.
Yeah, toys.
Okay, Yoel, go ahead, let's continue,
No, it's-
644.
It's Alan's turn.
I mean,
Or
yeah, Jim,
Okay, and of the word, so we're back to 78.
78.
Which is mazel, and of the word for bread, lechem,
Which is 78.
which is also 78.
Wow.
Yeah.
This indicates, because we're talking about eating here, two types of eating.
Yeah.
This indicates dependence of coupling, eating bread, on the flow of consciousness
From
from
the
mazel.
so mazel corresponds to bread,
Bread.
lechem.
You're also aren't you allowed to teach your son Torah once he can eat bread? Isn't there something in regards to halacha that you can start teaching once they can eat bread? A bracha, something, I forgot what it was.
No, no. It says that a child doesn't begin to speak, to say Abba,
Until
until
can eat
he tastes bread.
Until he tastes bread.
until he tastes wheat, actually, or grain. Till he eats grain, till he tastes grain. Any
No,
case, so
isn't that what we're talking? I mean, the flow
maybe.
of consciousness is linked. I'm not saying it's dafka. I'm not saying dafka. I'm saying maybe a panemius of.
maybe.
So, corresponding to these 12 letters, we're going back to the 12 letters of the iterations
Of Havaya, yeah.
of Hawaii, are the 12 loaves of showbread. This is because the holy 13th mazel expresses the concept of the double vav, which equals 12, since the numerical value of the letter vav is 6.
What?
Okay.
Hold on. The holy 13th mazel expresses the concept of the double vav.
Because that's 12. One
6
for each
and
show-
6.
One for each showbread.
It's how they were assembled, how they were.
Yeah,
assembled.
two rows-
Two
stacks.
Two rows-
stacked.
two stacks of
The
six.
way they were assembled in the, on the table, the way they're stacked.
6 on one side, 6 on the other side.
Yeah,
Okay.
Again, over, next, like facing each other. This is why the showbreads were arranged in 2 stacks, 6 on one side and 6 on the other.
Okay.
Yeah, but the rabbi's question is still why is the 13th, right? Is that the
No,
question?
just where does this vav come in?
The vav is.
Oh, you're talking
is
about the
double
vav?
6, yeah.
I was thinking about the 13th mazel expresses the concept of the double vav. It's 13. How's double vav? How does the 13 express double vav? Double vav is 12. So
Because
why
it
is 13?
corresponds.
One for each loaf.
It corresponds to the
To the showbread.
to the 12.
To the showbread.
The 13th corresponds to the other 12.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what.
Gotcha.
The 13
1 equals 12.
corresponds- yeah,
Right.
Right.
That I can see.
And this is the arrangement.
Okay.
There's
Yes.
pictures.
Gotcha. Yeah. One,
If you look in the-
one
in
stack
the-
to the other in the
In
chumash.
some of the Chumash, you'll see the pictures.
Yeah.
I like the pictures and the,
You like pictures.
yeah, the toys.
Okay. Alan, you ready? 645 at the top.
They also express the two letters Hey of the divine name Havaya, whose combined numerical value, when spelled out, is also 12. When the letter Hey is spelled out, Hey Aleph, the numerical value of the two Heys, Hey Aleph, 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1, is 12. In any case, this exposition indicates that the showbread is the physical manifestation of this 13th mazel, which, as we said, encapsulates and includes all the other 12.
Okay. So we have that in the Vav. We have it in the Hey. The showbread is a physical manifestation of the 13th. Okay, so that's important to remember. We have 13 attributes, and the showbread is, and of the 13, 12 are one group and 1 is the other group. And I guess they're manifestation, they manifest expression of the 13th mazel. Okay, Alan.
Now, since the coupling of Abba and Ima is termed eating, it never ceases. The two main pairs of Partsufim are Abba and Ima, and Zer Ampin and its Nukva. Whereas the coupling of the former pair is constant, the coupling of the latter pair is occasional.
We're on the air.
Yeah, that,
Huh?
Whereas the coupling of the former pair is constant, the coupling of the latter pair is
Yeah,
occasional.
Abba and Ima is constant.
And Zer Ampin and Nukva is occasional.
Yeah.
The constant, steady state relation between Abba and Ima is therefore termed eating, for it is much less charged and ardent than the love relationship between the younger pair, Zer Anpin and Nukva, the offspring of Abba and Ima.
This we've never seen before.
This is to be expected, since Abba and Ima are the partsufim of the intellect, while Zer Anpin and Nukva constitute the emotions and their expression.
So marriage is constant, but union is occasional.
correct.
Okay, good point.
union- And good union flows from,
Yeah.
from top down.
Mm-hmm.
In other words.
A good
you
marriage.
Start, a good marriage flows from.
It's a good union.
Good mazel through Abba, Ima, down through Zer Anpin and Nukva.
Which means in English?
That means that there should be intellect running the emotions, and before even the intellect, we should have the light that's coming from Kesser informing our intellect and making that the source of the union between us and as we have coupling with our emotions and our manifestation of action.
A healthy relationship is not only with emotions,
Right.
but it has to be
Intellectual.
steered
Yeah.
Steered
by the intellect.
by the intellect and even above. From
And even
Kesser.
above.
Yeah. It has to come from Eric Ampin. A good relationship should come from there.
We'll hear the next one.
So Rishis Chachma Yirat Shemayim. So then I would say that the light from that keter only comes if the marriage is a marriage of within Yiddishkeit, a marriage of Torah and mitzvos, and then the intellect leads in the proper direction, right? I mean, there's no light. What does that mean? That there's light from Kesser into the intellect? How does that happen? Unless a person is
It's happening right here.
It's a light bulb.
no. But what I'm saying is there can be.
What it means is, and this is what I asked you to explain. You want to say it? Go ahead.
No, I was elaborating more on what I'm saying, and then it could be wrong. That's why I'm throwing it out there. What I'm understanding is it seems like this light from Kesser, it comes from me, from us, from the husband, Abba and Ima doing what?
What it means is, and this is what I think what Jim means to say, is that obviously a relationship, and a relationship such as marriage, has a very strong emotional component, where the two people care for each other. The there has to be a very healthy dose of intellect that's involved, that and that drives the emotions. We've spoken about this, but in the past when we talked about it, we said specifically to be able to appreciate the other person on an intellectual plane, not just an emotional plane, but there has to be an intellectual relationship between the two people, aside from the emotional. One thing, another way that it is expressed is that the emotions are driven by the intellect or steered by the intellect. And some just,
Not the other
if
way
I could
around.
give a very, and I'll throw out the example, is that when the couple has a conflict, and instead of letting their emotions carry them through it, so they need to
Talk it out.
the intellect has to step in and say, you know what? Is it worth this argument? Should I just let it go for now and we'll let cooler heads intervene tomorrow?
Right.
We'll continue. We can pick it up tomorrow. We both have cooler heads. That's one way of having intellect lead, and obviously it's very easy to speak about it. When you're stuck there and you're caught in the middle, then a slight little
Yeah.
nothing
A big something.
becomes a whole big thing.
Right.
Whole big deal.
So-
The self, if it comes out of intellect, has diminished because you see the other. If it doesn't come out of intellect, it comes out of emotion, the self rules often. I feel this way. It's going on that way. That's it. And so we try to have the intellect proceed for the healthy relationship so that we can see the other.
And that's two components. Then you asked about what's higher than that.
Well,
And
that-
higher than that, here it says, Kesser, I'm just taking a guess, but higher than that is not intellect, it's a will. It's the overriding feeling that you want to have a healthy relationship, and that's not emotions.
Okay, so
it's
that's what I was
having the
questioning.
higher thing of a certain amount of Kabbalah soul, a certain amount of just being able and humility to be able to say, what my needs or my wants here, my ego here, is not what our relationship's about. It's about our relationship, which is beyond that.
So that was the question I had, and you answered it.
And that's a guess. That's a suggestion on my
No,
part.
I've heard
It-
Keter be described as Ratzon before, and so
Okay.
that makes
Ratzon.
sense that it's.
Ratzon.
I don't know what this. I get the intellect leading the emotions, so on and so
No, but it's
forth.
beyond-
But the
beyond.
Keter, where that would come from, that light would come from to shine into the intellect. That's where I was. Misunderstanding. So
Okay.
Okay.
Beyond,
it's beyond.
it's beyond that.
When
So,
That's the
when will this
point.
part?
What?
It's
One
beyond
moment.
the-
beyond
but
my
this
intellect.
appears.
It's beyond your intellect.
But this is the first time that we've seen, that I remember this being described, that the union of Abba and Ima, since that's intellect, it is he says, less charged or less passionate than the union of Ze'er Anpin with Nukva.
Right.
And this is the first that we've, I think we've seen that. Not to take away from the union of Chachma and Bina, of Abba and Ima. Not to take away from
So I
it.
don't want to distract more from this based off this question, but I would think that most of the time Ratzon or Keter, my Ratzon comes from my intellect. I decide on something, I decide this is right. Let's just say Kabbalah's O, like you mentioned before, Urkabas Ola, meaning the Ola is this institution of marriage, going with a marriage analogy. That comes from that's born out from my intellect.
This is a pre-
And then it becomes
pre-
my keter? Is that what you're saying?
No, pre-intellect. It's pre-intellect.
So my pre-intellect is that the marriage is important to me, and I'm going
You
to,
bet.
Think about something that you want, which
don't
might
know
not have an explanation. Okay? Why do you like chocolate and not vanilla? Why do you like the red apple and not the yellow apple?
Okay, fine. I got
Can
it.
you explain it?
Yeah, I understand now. Gotcha.
Supermarket stopped carrying my apple. I'm like,
Gala?
yes. How
I
do you
love
know?
Gala, because Gala's the best.
Yeah.
Go to
And
Price Right. They'll have everything.
They stopped carrying it,
Stop carrying?
Alan. Yeah. It's like after you eat the
It's
gala,
seasonal. It's seasonal. Gala's the best. I know.
and they've had it for years. They don't want to eat anything else. No.
Honeycrisp.
It's,
Honey what?
Honey
it's, too,
Crisp.
it's not much sweeter.
It's an apple?
Yes,
It's
it's
a
an
very good
I
apple
see it there.
also.
Yeah. So they didn't carry it last
It's
time I
not,
was
as,
there.
it's not as good as Gala, but Honeycrisp is a
Okay.
secondary. Here we go.
So
Apples from
anyway,
orchard,
so
right?
Apples with it.
that's this idea. That would be this idea.
We.
Wait,
You know, we
we may perhaps find an allusion here to the romantic aspect of a couple intimately dining together. As a shared experience, eating together is a relaxed, sedate form of coupling. Interestingly, Jewish law allows a wife to delegate all her duties to her husband to servants, except for 3, since they are considered arousing. These are making his bed, washing his face, and serving him meals. Go have your wife do that for you all the time. Good luck.
you're allowed to do you're allowed to do it for her too.
Yeah,
This is
The
biblical.
that doesn't work well. Believe me, that wouldn't work well either.
This is biblical.
It's been right.
This is biblical.
Making the bed doesn't mean making the bed, as we know it.
I know, okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, we
Huh?
got it.
Yeah.
No, it means
Straightening it
Actually
out.
making the bed.
Making the bed.
it just doesn't mean what we call making the bed. It means, with the hole from the bottom up, the
Yeah.
sheet and all that.
Yeah,
Pillowcases.
yeah.
In the olden days, I don't know if you've been to, I think it's Sturbridge Village.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see the bed there?
No. I mean, can't remember it. It's been a long time.
So I remember that you put the coals or something inside it.
Coals?
No,
Oh.
the hot thingies. No, there's
The hot-
a
the hot
Hopefully
pan.
hot water.
pans,
The hot, the pan filled with,
the pan-
there's a pan filled with
with
coals, like a bed warmer.
like a bed warmer. That's
A bed warmer. It went under the mattress.
After the 60 fire, they decided
if I-
maybe to, they decided maybe to change it up.
I don't know where it went, but I remember.
Has anyone
that
been at
thingy.
Sturbridge lately and remember?
That was
Lately?
that-
Yeah, lately.
My kid's a little too, I've been there
it's been-
at
If I
least
remember
40,
correctly,
50 years.
it's also been a few years since I was there. But if I remember correctly, there's a frame,
Yeah,
and what we would call the spring is a rope that goes is a rope that goes through, and every once in a while they have the end of the rope. It's a thick rope. The end is a
Metal thing to twist.
no. There's a piece of wood,
Oh,
and I think you have to tighten it.
tighten it, right?
oh, yeah.
You have to tighten the rope.
Like a turnbuckle.
Turnbuckle every week or so, or once a month, I don't know. And then on top of that, so that would be probably considered making the bed, not just straightening out a blanket on top.
That seems like something a man should do, though. It sounds like quite
Maybe.
muscle.
Maybe, but then on top they put the straw and whatever, all that.
Okay.
Okay,
The union,
so in this, this is a this is a law,
Yeah.
okay?
the union of the intellect must be constant in order for the world to continue to exist. The union of emotion and expression, however, need not be constant, although the quality of life increases the more frequently this union occurs. It is this union that results from our observance of the Torah and performance of the mitzvahs.
And I should
Yeah,
add.
isn't that what I said before?
We talked about
I should also add that these 3 things are today, when the wife is impure, she does not do these for the husband in his presence. I mean, it's making the bed
Right.
not if he's in the room. Obviously, may not wash his face. And if she serves him the meal, then she does it with a change. She does it a little differently than usual. So even like putting down a glass of water or something, like not putting it directly in front of him, putting it a little off to the side.
Shinoi.
Shinoi. Yes. Okay, so our observance of Torah mitzvahs causes the union of
Right.
the emotions of Ze'er Anpin and Nukva. All right, Alan.
Therefore, this bread, which is synonymous with the supernal mazel and arouses them, that is Ab and Ima, to the constant coupling term eating, had to remain on the table in the sanctuary at all times. And so it is written, and you shall set showbread on the table before me at all times. The fact that the showbread had to be on the table at all times indicates that the union of Abba and Ima is constant, since this union is dependent upon the 13th mazel, which is, as stated above, the spiritual correlate of the showbread.
So why is eating a euphemism for the union of Chachma and Bina? Why? Did you catch
Bread
that?
is always
The
there.
bread's always there.
Always there, always present.
Yeah, but why is bread?
78, mazel
Let me.
is
Why? Okay.
78. It's the
Why
same
does
number as
bread?
mazel.
Why does eating a metaphor more fitting for the union of Abba and Ima
And union.
than for the union of Ze'er Anpin and
I think because
Nukva?
I think because eating is something you do constantly, you always eat. Whereas union, which we described between Ze'er Anpin and Nukva, which seems like marital union, it happens occasionally. So it'd be inappropriate.
So the frequency.
The frequency of eating, which is constant. You're constantly eating. I don't know. It could be wrong. That's my thought.
The showbread is always on the table.
Yes.
Always on the table, giving, arousing Abba and Ima together, to be together, always present with each other, because it's mazel. It's the same thing as mazel. It's the 13th mazel. Showbread is 78, mazel is 78, and that's what.
And Lechem 78.
And Lechem is 78. Lechem is 78, and that's what keeps them all together.
But Jim,
all the
But you're asking why. It's
which is
eating.
cause and effect?
That's it.
You're mixing up the cause and effect.
Yeah.
You're saying that the reason why the showbread has to be on constantly is because that's the effect.
That's the
The
effect.
cause is because
Of the
Abba
bond.
and Ima are constantly in union.
Eating.
In
Constant
union.
coupling, yeah.
They're constantly eating.
Constantly eating? No.
Coupling.
That's what union. That's the
Yeah,
union
I'm
that
not
we're
sure.
describing.
You know what?
Coupling.
It's, to
He
me,
said,
Achila.
he says,
Achila is union.
yeah, but that's not why it's called eating. My question is, why is the union? It says that this idea of eating is a better match for the constant union of
Between
Abba and Ima,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than the infrequent or occasional union of.
Is
I
achila a
understand.
type of union, as we've described?
He says some. No,
What is achila then? Achila is an
Eating.
interaction between the.
between what?
We said in the beginning, achila is used
He
to
said
describe the
differently.
interaction between the different sira.
He said what?
Is described.
Where? Show me. Let's read what it says. Let's see what it says.
To explain it has been explained
purpose-
on 643. It has been explained that a number of different couplings between the various partsufim above in the spiritual realms are termed eating.
But he didn't say why there.
No, I was just saying that
Yes.
achila is synonymous with, it's a type of union.
That he says here something else. If in 645, in the middle,
Yeah.
the constant relation between Abba and Ima is termed eating because it is much less charged. Eating is not, for most people, a passionate activity. It's something that you do. You eat. Today we were speaking about somebody, they said, talking about somebody who's eating is a very passionate activity for him. Person is, whatever. It's should have a full recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so eating is more of a passive activity. It's not a passionate activity. And that's why it fits for the relationship of Abba and Ima, because that's more intellectual based. But it is lacking the passion of Zerampin and Nukva. That's what he says here.
That's what he says here. That's right.
That's what he says here.
Much less charged. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Gershon?
Am I awake?
6:45
Only you know.
6:45
at the bottom.
6:45, but I'm 6:46 and I'm still sleeping. Wow.
At the bottom.
6:45, this.
This is also why they remain warm constantly, as it is written, to replace it with warm bread on the day it was taken away. This alludes to the constant arousal of the heat of the set coupling. The Raizal now discusses why it is that the Kohanim, the priests of officiating temple, eat the showbread.
That after the week, the showbread goes to the Kohanim. 6 go to the Kohanim of that shift, and 6 loaves go to the Kohen Gadol.
A lot of bread.
A lot of bread, carbs.
A lot of carbs.
So
No.
the bread is warm because of the constant coupling,
Yeah.
the constant friction.
Yeah,
Okay.
the warmth of the relationship.
Heat of the coupling.
Okay.
Now, the priest would eat this bread. This is because the priest in the upper world express the Sephirah of Chokhmah. It is at this level that the high priest of all 10 Sephiros begin.
Huh?
This is the
Hold
mystical.
Kohanim correspond to
Priest in
Chachma.
the upper world. This is stress.
And that's called what's it called? The High Kahuna. The Chief Kahuna? The Chief
Big
Kahuna.
kahuna.
The Big Kahuna.
The big kahuna, that's a
Now-
coral reef. you
What's
know
it
that?
from?
It's a coral reef. The big kahuna is a massive coral reef.
Really?
In Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's talking about these are priests, but
Kohen.
in the upper world.
Beach,
Yeah.
beach movies.
No?
That's translation.
No?
Frankie Avalon.
And then the high priest of all 10 Sephiros begins. So, what's a priest of a Sephiros? The Sephirah.
Go ahead.
We don't know.
Let's
This
go
is
ahead.
the mystical way to understand the verse. The priests, the Levites,
It's called HaKohanim Halaviyim. The Kohanim who are Levi.
as you have noticed, the priests are called Levites in many verses, such as, and the priests, the sons of Levi, approached. And so, although the priests being descended from Aaron are, of course, members of the tribe of Levi, they are not usually referred as Levites. That term is reserved for the rest of the members of the tribe, that means non-priests, who have an entirely different set of duties to perform in the temple. The reason is because the supernal priests and Levites are the Sephiros of Chokhmah and Bina, respectively. Okay, so the Levites are Chokhmah and
Kohanim are Chachma,
Levites are Bina.
and Levi is Bina.
Since the union of these two Sephiros is constant, the Levite at this level is completely sweetened without any severe judgment. He is therefore strongly bound to the priest, and they are considered one.
See, in other places it says that the Kohen corresponds to Chesed, and Levi corresponds to Gvura.
Yeah, we had that.
That would be in Ze'er Anpin. I guess if you
This
go
is-
higher up into the intellect, they correspond to Chachma and to Bina, and being that it would have to be sweetened. Like we said, Malchus has a severity that needs to be tempered, and Gvura has a severity that needs to be tempered, and I guess the same thing with Bina. So the Levi at this level is tempered. the harshness of Levi at this level of Bina is tempered by the Chachma.
The reason is because the supernal priests and Levites are the Sephiros of Chochmah and Bina, respectively. Since the union, I said that. Okay. Chochmah is the initial flash of insight. Bina is the development of that insight into a full intellectual structure of thought. In the process of analyzing and developing the insight, the mind can sometimes lose track of the original idea, going off on tangents and trains of thought that were never implied in it. The end result is a perversion of the original truth. In order to prevent this, Bina must stay connected to Chochmah. That is, the development of the idea must be constantly checked and evaluated against the experience of the initial insight. Then the pristine brilliance of the inspiration can keep the intellectual process on track. So, in the upper worlds, where Chochmah and Bina are in a state of constant union, as we have said, Bina, or the Levite, is constantly being purified by Chochmah, the priest. Down here below, however, where Chochmah and Bina are not always connected, matters are different.
You know what this looks like? What?
No, this is heavy duty in relationship, this piece.
But I'd like
without
to
going
hear afterward, if
Yeah.
you're okay with the
You're
share.
almost done.
We spoke a few months ago. We were learning about the only way to stay on course is you have to look back and see where you're coming from.
Right.
We had a big thing. I don't remember what it was about, but this reminds me of the same kind of idea. In order for the Levi to be tempered, it's by staying connected to Chachma, which is higher.
It keeps it on track. It keeps it from going astray into
Yeah.
different thoughts all over whatever.
Okay.
Below, however, where the Levite personifies severity, like we were saying, they do not unite. Since in this world Bina can, if left alone, stray far from the pristine insight of Chochmah, it can even serve as a potential source for evil, which elicits Hashem's severe judgment. Therefore, the showbread was eaten only by the priests who personify Chochmah.
Beautiful.
So to wrap up,
Yeah.
it'd be beautiful if we were able to see what we look like. We had the preview here. I went into settings. I can't get it done. I don't know. So the help is no help. So yes, what did we say? That the showbread comes from Mazel, the 13 attributes of mercy, the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim. And that's connected with Mazel. Why Mazel? We said when we learned that 3 years ago, what we just looked up on page 133, we said then that it doesn't depend on our actions, that what we deserve. It goes beyond that, in spite of whatever we've done. And that's the idea of Mazel. Mm-hmm. So that's a much higher level than something that is, it can tolerate whatever our actions are. Whatever we've done.
Independent.
So yeah. So we said that that's the showbread, corresponds to Mazel. Mazel is one that corresponds to the other 12. We talked about it being the beard, the 13, which is also connected with the 13 attributes of mercy. And we said that there are 3 iterations of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, of Havaya, which 3 times 26 is 78. And what else is 78? Lechem for the showbread. And what else?
And Mazala.
Hey, the two
Mazla.
hays.
Mazla.
What?
In the
The two
Aramaic.
hays of Hashem's name also.
Yeah.
And the
Forgot about
RPMs.
that. I was thinking about that. 78.
RPM, yeah.
And
He doesn't know what that is.
and Mazla. You know what? You're like a broken record. And
What?
kids today don't know what a broken record is.
Oh, yeah.
And
There's no 78s either.
There's no record.
Or record. There's no records he knows.
and
They call them something else.
vinyl.
Vinyl.
Final. Yeah.
And yeah, and
Comeback.
and lechem and mazla, and then the 2 stacks of the lechem hapanim is the letter vav, vav,
Vav,
which is
12.
also 12, or hey and hey aleph also equals 12. All right? And somehow or
That's
other we got,
that's where we got the hey is 78, right?
No, hey,
no,
hey for the showbread.
hey aleph,
And those are,
That's
you
just
have-
What?
you have
What's
the-
hey off, hey off?
12.
12
and you have-
Where are we getting hey off, hey off?
for the showbread.
From Hashem's name, Yud,
Right,
and then
so
hey,
hey,
and then
and if you spell out hey and hey, it's 78 also. That's
How?
what we said before.
No, not hey and
The
hey.
two heys of Hashem's name
yeah,
come out to 78.
comes out to 12.
12. It's hey aleph, hey aleph.
I know.
Look it up. Let me know.
I'll
What's that.
show you
And
right
then
now.
somehow or other we got into
Hey, hey, hey.
relationships. I don't
It's
know.
right
that's
after
three.
the,
Look,
It wasn't 78. Not, not,
terms of eating,
right after
I'm
the
positive,
vowels.
I'm positive.
It was right after the.
Right after the vowels, right here. When the letter hey is spelled out, hey aleph,
hey aleph.
the numerical
12.
value of the two is
12.
12. I thought he came up with 78 somewhere.
12.
3 times 26,
3 times 26 is 78.
78.
Lechem. Oh, okay. I was wrong.
Okay?
Okay.
Involves, it's like the.
You're entitled.
And I think I'm gonna,
Say what? This?
yeah, see if that works. We're gonna stop. Thank you all for watching.
Hey, hey, hey.
How are you, class?
Wait, so the hey off is